you feel like I do? Listen every Saturday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and feel like I do, right here on this station.
China's consistent use of excessive military force to stifle dissent has resulted in widespread human rights abuses, including multiple cases of arbitrary arrest, political imprisonment, torture and execution. Human rights groups have documented at least 60 deaths of peaceful demonstrators since 1987, and there is thought to be many, many more. In Tibet, human rights groups have confirmed by name over 700 political prisoners, although there are likely to be hundreds more whose names are not confirmed. Many are detained without charge or trial for up to 4 years through administrative regulations entitled Re-Education Through Labour. China is a major player on the international economic scene, and many Western businesses have their interests over there. They make vast profits out of cheap sweatshop labour. China's human rights record is abysmal. This regime is both oppressive, totalitarian, and they don't give a damn about the freedom of the individual or the freedom of speech. In recent weeks, the oppressive Chinese regime have dealt a vile blow to freedoms in Tibet. Monks have been killed, innocent people have died. Most Western governments are just paying lip service against these abuses. They are not going to do a thing, for they have too many business interests there. They make too much profit out of sweatshop labour. So it's up to us. Go to the Edge's action page at theedgeam.com and make a difference. We are running 3 actions on this oppressive regime in China. That's the edgeam.com/edgeaction. Do you think you can make a difference in a world where there is so much injustice? Does this injustice upset you? Does it make you feel powerless, overwhelmed? I mean, what can one person do? Take action from the comfort of your chair. Make a difference with the new Edge Action area of the Edge AM's website. Make sure you make a difference by going to theedgeam.com/edgeaction. That's theedgeam.com/edgeaction. You can make a difference. Welcome back. I'm Andy Radford, your host for the Edges Thursday show here in the Edges UK studio. The Thursday show is the show for the listener, and if you want to send us any information, just look for the link under the main media player on the homepage at www.theedgeam.com. Here you can send us written copy, audio, video, or a prose and a song, and we'll play them for you on the Edge radio and television broadcast Thursday show. If you're interested in becoming a voluntary Edge correspondent, under that same media player there is a link entitled We Are Looking for Edge Correspondents. Just click that and the information will appear for you. Don't forget you can become involved with the Edge forum and state your opinion and view, and we don't mind if you agree or disagree with the guest or host. All we are looking for is intellectual comment and opinion. Check out the new Edgepedia and add your information to the information that already exists there. In recent years there has been a disturbing decline of honeybees, and this has been called bee colony collapse disorder. Edge correspondent C.M. Leslie has some information for us now, and following this is her tribute to Rachel Carson, author of Silent Spring and the mother of the environment movement. Rachel Carson died in 1962 of cancer. She was the first scientist to question the corporate chemical philosophy and started the ball rolling for all environment and anti-toxic campaigners today. Here is C.M. Leslie.
This is an interview with Joe Wells, and this is deep in the San Fernando Valley. Joe Wells has endured countless stings during his life as a beekeeper, but he got the shock of his career when he opened his boxes last month and found half of his 100 million bees missing. In 24 states throughout the country, beekeepers have gone through similar shocks as their bees have been disappearing at an alarming rate, threatened not only with their livelihood but also the production of numerous crops, including California almonds, one of the nation's most profitable. "I have never seen anything like it," Mr. Wells said, "from an almond orchard here beginning to bloom. Box after box is just empty. There seems to be no one home." The sudden mysterious losses are highlighting the critical link that honeybees play in the long chain that gets fruits and vegetables to supermarkets and dinner tables across the country. Beekeepers have fought regional bee crises before, but this is the first national affliction. Mysteriously, bees flying off in search of pollen and nectar and simply never returning to their colonies, and nobody knows why. Researchers say the bees are presumably dying in the fields, perhaps becoming exhausted or simply disoriented, or eventually falling victim to the cold or overuse of pesticides. As researchers scramble to find answers to the syndrome, they have decided to call it bee colony collapse disorder. Growers are becoming openly nervous about the capability of the commercial bee industry to meet the growing demand for bees to pollinate dozens of crops, from almonds to avocados to kiwi. Along with recent stresses on the bees themselves, as well as on the industry increasingly under consolidation, some fear this disorder may force a breaking point for even larger beekeepers. A Cornell University study has estimated that honeybees annually pollinate more than $14 billion worth of seed and crops in the United States alone, mostly fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Every third bite we consume is dependent on the honeybee to pollinate our food. The bee losses are ranging from 30 to 60% on the West Coast, with some beekeepers on the East Coast and in Texas reporting losses of more than 70%. Beekeepers consider a loss up to 20% in their off-season just to be normal. Beekeepers are the nomads of the agricultural world, working in obscurity in their white protective suits and frequently trekking around the country with their insects packed into 18-wheelers looking for pollination work. Once a domain of hobbyists with a handful of backyard hives, beekeepers have become increasingly commercial and consolidated. Over the last 2 decades, the number of beehives, now estimated by the Agriculture Department to be 2.4 million, has dropped by a quarter, and the number of beekeepers by half. Pressure has been building on the industry. The cost to maintain hives, also known as colonies, are rising along with the strain on bees of being bred to pollinate rather than just to make honey. And beekeepers are losing out to suburban sprawl in their quest for spots where bees can forage for nectar to stay healthy and strong during the pollination season. There are less beekeepers, less bees, yet more crops to pollinate, Mr. Wells said. While this sounds sweet for the bee business, with so much added loss and expense due to disease, pests, and higher equipment costs, profit is actually falling. Some worried beekeepers convened in Florida this month to brainstorm with researchers with how to cope with the extensive bee losses. Investigators are exploring a range of theories, including viruses, funguses, and poor bee nutrition. They are also studying a group of pesticides that were banned in some European countries to see if that is somehow affecting the bees' ability to find their way back home. It could be that the bees are stressed out. Bees are being raised to survive a shorter off-season to be ready to pollinate once the almond blossoms begin to bloom in April. That is more than likely lowered their immunity to viruses. Mites have also played an important role in bee damage, and the insecticides used to kill mites are harming the ability of the queens to spawn as many worker bees. The queens are now living half as long as they did just a few years ago. Researchers are also concerned that the willingness of beekeepers to try